Could a 13th century poet have known something about the brain that modern science is only now beginning to discover? Jalal al-Din Rumi, the Persian mystic, wrote that love is the foundation of the universe, a divine current connecting all things. But was this just poetry, or something more? Today, science is catching up. From the circuits of the brain to the architecture of the mind, we're beginning to glimpse what Rumi may have sensed long ago. Love is not just an emotion, it's a force that shapes what it means to be human. Rumi saw love as the bridge between the soul and the world. It moves stars and hearts alike. But science, too, is discovering that love isn't just felt, it's structured. And in many ways, it's wired into us. Two major fields now explore this: neuroscience, which studies the biological systems of the brain, and cognitive science, which explores how we think, perceive, and connect. Neuroscientists have identified key brain systems involved in love. One is the ventral tegmental area, part of the brain's reward circuit, which releases dopamine when we experience emotional bonding. Another is oxytocin, often called the love hormone. It floods the brain during moments of deep connection. Not just in romance, but powerfully in acts of caregiving, especially between mother and child. That warm, grounding sense of closeness, trust, bonding, the feeling of being held, is oxytocin at work. This neurochemical rhythm plays out in families, friendships, spiritual practice, even community rituals. Love, far from being sentimental fluff, is biologically essential, a glue that holds us together. And it transcends time and culture. What Rumi described in divine language, scientists now describe in the language of the brain. But neuroscience alone can't tell the whole story. That's where cognitive science comes in. It explores how we think about love, the inner maps, memories, and models we carry from childhood. From our first attachments, we build mental blueprints, or schemas, for trust, closeness, and care. These blueprints shape how we relate for the rest of our lives. Attachment theory shows that love isn't just reactive. It's patterned. If a child learns that closeness is safe, that memory becomes a model for future bonds. If not, the mind adapts in other ways, often distant or anxious. In this view, love is a deep cognitive process, a way the brain organizes relationship, memory, and even identity. To love is also to understand. Scientists call this theory of mind, the ability to imagine what someone else is feeling or thinking. When we love, we don't just care, we co-know. We begin to inhabit another's world. And someone or something inhabits ours or starts to dwell within us. Love helps shape the story we tell about ourselves. In cognitive science, this is known as narrative identity, the internal autobiography we're constantly writing, even if we never put it on paper. Love isn't just about who we care for. It becomes a mirror, reflecting back who we are when we care and how and why. When we love someone, a parent, a friend, a partner, a child, we begin to see ourselves through that bond. We notice what we give, what we withhold, how we act, how we change. Love reveals us to ourselves. In this way, love doesn't dissolve the self. It helps shape it by deepening the story of who we're becoming. The philosopher Charles Taylor argued that we define ourselves through webs of interlocution, the voices, relationships, and values that give our lives shape. Love is the most powerful of these voices. So yes, love seems to be about the other, but it is always about the self in relation. And Rumi, who wrote so much about union, longing, and surrender, wasn't only talking about romantic passion. He was talking about the self meeting itself, through the presence of another. Love also transforms the brain. Compassion meditation, found in many spiritual traditions, increases activity in regions linked to empathy, attention, and emotional regulation. Repeated practice can literally rewire us, from stress and reactivity toward calm and connection. So, was Rumi a neuroscientist? Not in the literal sense. But perhaps he was something just as profound, a cognitive cartographer of the soul, mapping love through metaphor, story, and silence. What he intuited through spiritual experience, we're now tracing through scans and studies. As Rumi said, love is the bridge between you and everything, And science, at its best, helps us glimpse how that bridge might be built, neuron by neuron, thought by thought, word by word.